Hello. I am Jessica Butts. Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast, where I help you learn to be unapologetically who you are and live your life from the front seat through personal development, self-awareness, and real and raw conversations about life, love, and business. I'm a former psychotherapist and couples counselor turned author, speaker, coach, and lovingly, well, I hope so anyway, been nicknamed Jessica Kick Butts because I believe sometimes we need hand holding and sometimes we just need to be told the freaking truth, even if it hurts a little. So each week I'll be sharing truth bombs, life lessons, powerful interviews, and intuitive insights to empower you to get up, show up, and live your life in a new, powerful, authentic way. So if you're ready to climb into your front seat and embark on a journey of total transformation, you have come to the right place. Start your engines. Let's do this. All right, Front Seat Lifers, I am so excited. I have the amazing, beautiful, smart, talented Heather Denniston with me today. And I love how the universe works. So she is actually friends with a dear friend of mine who, ironically, her name is Jenny Butts, which there's no relation. It's even spelled different, but people always think we're sisters. And I met Heather years and years ago, and she is killing it in the online space, in the entrepreneurial world. Her Instagram is the cutest. She's doing all these amazing things in the world. We connected and she's like, I think I could really serve your audience super well on your podcast. And in full transparency, I was like, yeah, they're not really into fitness and stuff. And she's like, girl, that's really not what I even do. So anyway, welcome, Heather. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You have a very interesting background, chiropractor, kind of gone on to the online space. So introduce yourself to my ridiculously wonderful listeners and tell them a bit about you.
You bet. First of all, I'm super excited to be here. I just recently listened to your Jenna Faye podcast, and that was awesome.
Thanks.
And so thank you for doing great interviews. Thank you for doing your solo podcasts as well. Those are equally as awesome.
Thank you.
And so myself, I am a chiropractor by trade. I practiced for about 23 years, and I, during that time, got an advanced certification in wellness chiropractic, and I got my personal trainer certification. And I transitioned, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this later, out of traditional brick and mortar practice into more of an entrepreneurial space with a company I titled WELLFITandFED, and had a couple of rough years at the beginning, and then finally figured out a little bit more about how the online space works, and that it's not just take all your brick and mortar knowledge of how to run a brick and mortar business and try to, stamp that onto an online business, because guess what, that doesn't work. And I figured out, what works for me, and what, I think what took me a long time was who my audience is and what I need to be doing. So we can also kind of shift into that as well, but that's a little about my history, Jessica. Thank you.
Love it. So I want to go there because that is a huge part of my listenership, especially this time of year. Obviously my core is personality type. I love talking about it. Most of my listeners are intuitive types. By the way, Heather is an INFJ, and most of you listeners know I am an ENFJ. So we're very similar. We have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
This time when this is airing in May or June, I haven't figured out yet, but when this airs, we will be gearing up for, entrepreneurial school. So tell us your journey of learning kind of some of that brick and mortar. I would even consider, yes, it's entrepreneurship, but it's a bit of a 9-to-5. I felt the same way about when I was a therapist. So when I was a therapist, I thought I was becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you probably realized, just as I did, I was like, well, shit, I just have another job. Like I'm tied down to seeing clients. It's all I can do. I come home exhausted. I'm doing one-on-one. And so tell us your personal shift from being a brick and mortar chiropractor into this online space, and what what are some of your biggest takeaways and tips and helpfulness for these people listening?
Yeah, you bet. So about year 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there, the walls just my office started to feel smaller. And I started to feel this like internal drive and leading and yearning to write and to cast the net a little wider. And to also, like you were just talking about, I felt constricted by the schedule and I wanted to travel way more and I wanted to just have a lot more freedom. My hours where I started seeing patients at 6:30 and I got home at 7 at night. And so it was very constricting to the life I wanted to lead and to the life I was sharing with my patients from a wellness perspective that was healthy. And so I made the shift and, it is tricky going through those transitions, both letting go of, practice wasn't bad. It was thriving. It was an awesome practice and I loved all my patients, but I had to be true to where I was being led. And so I stepped out of it and started fresh in a brand new space. I had no concept of how to get going in. And I just made the mistake of thinking, oh, I've had 20 years of business experience. I can make this work. I can grind this into, something that's amazing. Instead of immediately finding experts in my new area and finding mentors and guides that would really facilitate a much smoother pathway and catalyze my progress. So that was sort of the initial phases of it. And so I developed the company WELLFITandFED. I started out as a blogger because I was loving writing. And then I realized that was not it at all. And so I started my own show called the Junk You Should Know Show. And that felt closer. And I love doing that. That's a show I just do on Facebook at noon on Fridays
Awesome.
From the WELLFITandFED page. And then it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I started connecting with leaders, entrepreneurs, corporate companies to connect for them and for their high performers what wellness can do for their productivity, effectiveness, and success. And then I was like, bam, this was it. And I could feel it in my every cell that this was where I needed to be. So that's where I've been kind of hanging out is working one with many in that space with companies, with individuals, helping them say, you want to leader up? We have to attend to the different spectrums of wellness, not just business mentors and business strategy and, social media marketing and all of those things. We have to look at your greatest asset, your greatest tool for your business, and that's you. And so we have to look at that from a perspective of wellness that's unique for you.
Awesome. Okay. I'm scribbling notes. I have like 4 different things that I want to talk about. So I definitely want to get into you educating us. Like I want you to tell the listeners some of your awesomeness. But before we go there, you were talking about this itch, right? The walls are coming in and this is an intuitive thing. And so this is, I am an intuitive coach. I work with intuitives because we are so different than 75% of the population. S's literally are okay with that. They are the people who can stay at, Boeing forever. They could stay being a chiropractor forever. They stay as a therapist forever. It is fine. They actually prefer it because they love the structure and the routine that comes along with that. The other 25% of us, you, me, 90% of my listeners, we get this itch.
Yeah.
It's just this, we can't stand it. We want to write or what's next or how can I evolve? How can I do this next thing? And for S's, we're pretty annoying. I mean, they just don't understand it. I mean, I grew up in a family until my mom finally started understanding me, would say things like that. Why do you always have to have a trip planned? Why do you, why can't you? I mean, when I left my therapy practice, people thought I was insane. I mean, they were like,
100%.
you have a full practice. Are you an idiot? People kill to have a full practice. And I'm like, I know. And I've got to go. I got to do it. And so I just wanted to acknowledge the power of what you said, that intuitives get bored. We want a different life. We want freedom. And my BHAG, my big, hairy, audacious goal is more than anything in this world is to get this group of people, the 25% of us, to realize there's nothing wrong with us.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Heather, you wanting to leave a very successful practice after 20 years, because you had to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, a lot. And I love that you say that. I went to my first entrepreneurial conference a few years ago, and I looked around and I'm like, it's an ugly duck situation. I'm like, finally, these people freaking get me. Like, they understand. They don't think I'm a lunatic, and they're all lunatics too. So, and so getting with, like-minded folks, intuitive folks, entrepreneurial folks, and going, okay, this makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. We can connect. We can work with each other. I loved that.
This is a funny story. I tell this a lot, that when I became a therapist, right, you have to like find your people. You got to like, oh, I have this new identity. I better go find my people. I went to therapy groups and I went to meetups and I did all this stuff. And I kept having that feeling of like, these are not my people. Like, I don't want to sit around and talk about how to take notes. Like, how do we change the world? How do we make our clients better? Like, how do we write books? That's what I wanted to do. So then I went to eWomen, my very first entrepreneurial women meeting. And I went, I guess I'm an entrepreneur because these chicks, I get them and they totally get me. So I know that feeling.
Situation. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, girl. So I'm going to let you take it over here for a minute because I want you to share your goodies with us about how we take care of ourselves, as you're saying, because as an entrepreneur, specifically, actually your type as an INFJ and my type as an ENFJ, I'm literally called the giver. My type is called the giver. Yours is a very supportive role. You are here to support people. We have a tendency, I think, to be martyrs. We give and we give and we give and I just had it this morning. I mean, if I'm going to be fully transparent, I just had it this morning. I've had probably 2 straight weeks of just giving and giving and giving to my team, giving to my clients, giving to my friends, giving to my mastermind group. And this morning I woke up and I just was like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
I'm in my back seat. I'm empty. I said out loud in my bed, I just want to lay in my bed all day.
Yeah.
My baby in the back seat was up. I don't want to do this. I'm exhausted. So this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do. And as my current coach, Kate Northup, says, body first.
Yes.
Business second.
Yeah.
So Heather, give us your nuggets. How can we givers, entrepreneurs, martyrs, somewhat codependent? It's in our nature. We're not going to change that. So this is an interesting conversation too, because I don't believe in changing that. I believe in finding some sort of balance of how the heck we take care. I call this the vessel, right? All this is the vessel of my soul. It houses my heart and my brain and my soul. And it's my skin suit. And I'm always like, I just got to take care of my skin suit as best that I can so that I can give my best. And I am not the expert in this. So you are. Give us your goodies.
Yeah, you bet. And you said it pretty eloquently in that, you can look at your vessel as your greatest tool, your greatest asset. And what people don't realize is that extra glass of wine they had on Sunday affects how they negotiate in the boardroom on Wednesday. That workout you skipped yesterday affects problem solving with your team today. And so it's connecting those, but there's 3 basic principles that I take everybody through before we go into my Wellness Amplifier program, where we go through three pillars of information. It's about a 12-week program. But let's just do those 3 principles because these are practical things your audience can take away and start to work on.
Love.
So the first, you just touched on it, you are so intuitive, is something I call your energy leakage liability. And so and so we are all balls of energy. We have a certain amount to spend in a day. We spend it in certain ways, and some ways drain us quicker than others. And you touched on one really key one, and that is over caretaking. And a lot of us do that. And one of the questions I always ask somebody is, are they actually asking you for help, and do you have it in reserve to give? And so that's something that we talk about a lot. But there's all sorts of ways you leak energy: decision fatigue, problem solving, multitasking, focusing on the wrong things, vigilance, worry, bad relationships is a huge one, is where we just get our energy spilled out. Then we don't have it for key things that we need to be doing in our business or for our personal life or for our closest relationships. And so the whole concept of energy leakage liability is I take you through, just take a blank piece of paper and just write out, where are you spilling energy? Once you start to think about it, it will come. And it's usually the things you're kind of like, oh, do I have to do that? Like that volunteer obligation, or that, every single practice and game that you're going to, do you actually have to go to every single practice and game of your child, or can you preserve some of that for yourself? And multitasking is another one where we just dump energy and people think, oh, I'm so good at it. But in fact, you're actually just spilling energy all over the place when you're trying to multitask. So that's...
and can I add one to this?
Yeah, please.
Social media is a huge energy. I'm obsessed with this language, by the way. Energy leakage liability. Even the comparison that goes on, you scroll through things, or you've lost an hour of your life when you could have been resting or reading a book or something. I mean, I am 1,000% guilty of that, but I know the feeling of literally that energy leakage. It feels like your energy is being sucked out of your body. And it's that moment where you're like, I'm going to make a choice right now to turn my phone off. That's how bad I am, because I run my business literally like from my phone. Yeah. And so I have to turn it off, because otherwise I just, someone messages me and then like an hour later, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, where did I just go? I mean, I'll come back to myself and I'm like, I cannot believe that I just did that. So
there's something, Jessica, that leads into something that's really important. And that is something called decision fatigue. And that is part of your energy leakage. And decision fatigue is you have only a certain amount of decisions you can make in a day. And so we should start taking some notice of some of the greatest CEOs, greatest high performers out there, whether you like them or don't. Someone like Mark Zuckerberg, if you Google Mark Zuckerberg, all of the pictures look the same, because guess what? He's wearing a blue t-shirt or a blue long sleeve shirt every day. He doesn't do that by chance. He does it intentionally. It's one less decision he has to make, so he has the capacity for problem solving later in the day. It's intentional.
That's and so good.
Jeff Weiner from LinkedIn, he schedules 2 hours worth of breaks every single day, 4 30-minute slots. And guess what he does? Nothing. He puts his feet up on the desk, he looks out the window, he daydreams, and he encourages that for everybody beneath him as well.
I have chills.
Yeah, so we have to know how to do this. And as entrepreneurs, we get into that mindset of like, I gotta keep pushing, I gotta keep grinding, but if you take a step back and let your brain breathe for 5 seconds, you are gonna be so much more productive, creative, spontaneous, full of ideas than you would be if you didn't take that break. So it's essential you schedule them in.
Drum roll, please. Everybody, my once-a-year signature business course is almost here. We are opening the doors to our second annual summer school Monday, June 15th for 2 weeks only. That's June 15th through the 30th. Don't do stuff you suck at. Entrepreneurial School for Creative and Visionary Intuitives is a proven 8-stage process to build your business the right way in the right order, specifically for intuitive types. We are only 25% of the population, so therefore we need a different approach than the rest of them out there in the muggle world. So I built that for us, and I gotta say, it's pretty damn amazing. So this summer, in July and August, we will spend 8 weeks going over the 8 stages in a beautifully designed and easy to use online platform filled with videos, handouts, homework, PDFs that you have lifetime access to, by the way. Then every single week, we will have a Q&A call on Zoom so that we connect. I don't love me barking at you through Facebook Live, so we're actually going to be able to see each other and have dialogue, and it's awesome. At the end of the 8 weeks together, this group only will have a special invitation into an ongoing mastery group for continued implementation, support, and guidance through the 8 stages. But you have to be in now to get access to that ongoing mastery group. You guys, I get it. Times are tough right now. And I can honestly say one of the main things keeping me going right now is having a stable business, things to do in my business that can withstand a few punches now and again. And I want to teach you the same. This is your only opportunity in 2020. So please don't let it pass you by. So go to jessicabutts.com now to get your special. Okay, I'm not supposed to do this, so I'm going to get in trouble from my team. But go to jessicabutts.com. You'll just see it right there on the page to get a special insider podcast listener only early registration. We're technically not opening it until June 15th, but I love you guys. You guys are so dang loyal. You listen every single week. I can see it on there, so don't tell anybody. I cannot wait to meet you, connect with you, teach you everything I know about building a beautiful business the right way, the intuitive way, help you embrace your unique and special intuitiveness, and help you build a stable and successful life and business. Can't wait to see you. I was in Laguna Beach for my mastermind with Kate Northup's group, and it was the last day. It was absolutely ridiculously gorgeous. And I was staying near this park that overlooked the ocean. It was, I literally was like, why do I not live here? It was unbelievable. And I stayed an extra day to process. And then there's town, and town was an Uber, and I would have spent money, and it was extra effort, and it was extra. I did not need to go there. I would have spent money. I would have bought some things. It was just extra. And so instead, I made a decision that day to just stay where I was.
Fantastic.
To stay where I was. I sat in the grass. I journaled like crazy, and all these ideas came to me. I had the biggest, it actually makes me teary thinking about it. I had the biggest download, and I wrote in my journal that if I hadn't chosen to do less in that moment, and if I would have gone into town and took an Uber and shopped and been surrounded by busyness, I wouldn't have had that.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And Jessica, you're just totally touching on it. I just naturally, and you and I did not discuss this, I take a processing day after every conference. I stay an extra day. And as intuitives, we have to allow that internal processing time, or we do not get the same benefit from the input that we've received if we don't take the time to kind of sift through it. And it's subconscious. You don't have to force it. You don't have to sit there and think hard. Do what you did. Just journal. Do whatever comes out, or just walk or around, get your feet in the sand, whatever it is that you need to do to let your brain work through all of that and file it and, put it into good ideas and tasks and action steps that you want to take as a result of what you've learned.
Yes. My head's about to fall off. I'm nodding so much. My head is I look like a bobblehead. I'm yes.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So energy leakage liability.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. Well, number two.
Number two of three is a deeply moving wellness why. And let me just explain that because it sounds sort of generic. When I was in practice, I often had people coming in, and I was surrounded, just so people know, around me was Microsoft, Expedia, Costco, some of the big players, also some very big small startups. And people would come in and they're like, I started a running program, but I didn't really stick to it. Or I started doing paleo, but I didn't really stick to it. And I'd say, why did you start it in the first place? And they'd be like, well, aren't you supposed to? Isn't that what everybody tells me I should be eating, right? And they were missing a very deeply moving, heart-wrenching, tear-producing why. And so just an example for those of you who are like, well, I don't get it. I was tasked with an offsite for Microsoft, executive HR recruiters, and I gave them the job of discovering their wellness why. Everybody was furiously, brainstorming on a piece of paper. What's their wellness why? And I come around the table, and there's Julie, and who's got this blank piece of paper, and at the top it says, to be healthy. And I said, is that your wellness why? And she goes, yeah. And I said, but why? And we started a process of whying down with her. And she, because I want to be active. But why? Because I want to be independent. And this went back and forth, and soon people's pens are down and all their eyes are on us. And she finally stopped and paused and looked at me, and her whole face changed. And she said, because I don't ever want to tell my two beautiful grandsons that, sorry, boys, Noni can't do that.
Yep.
And that is what gets Noni out of bed in the morning for a walk. And so whying down to a deeply moving wellness why is number 2. It's essential before we begin any goal setting or strategizing for someone's wellness aspirations. We have to understand, why are you doing it? And it better be your reason and your reason alone.
Yep. So this is such a great conversation, and I'm going to share mine. And
Please.
this might be idiotic to some people, but it's mine. It's mine. My deeply moving wellness why are 2 things. One, this is my skin suit, so I'm very, very aware of this. But this is also kind of idiotic, but I've had this for years. I refuse to have a muffin top because it is energy wasted for me. I personally sit around, and if I extend any amount of energy worrying about my butt or my muffin top, to me, that is idiotic. It is not, to me, about anything else. And again, everybody can have their own opinion. I need my energy to be spent on things that are very, very, very important.
Yes.
Having a muffin top is idiotic. So instead of me trying to get over it, I just try to not have one.
Yeah. Well, and I think
that's literally my deeply moving wellness why, is because I got big shit to do in this world, and I don't know how to not be annoyed with the fact that I have one. So I just try very hard to not have one so that I can put my energy to good use.
Yeah, I love that. And to me, what you're saying is, I don't want to be held back by any wellness outage.
Yes.
That is going to keep me from my ultimate goal in the world. And it might have to do with muffin top. It might have to do with energy. It might have, you don't want anything to hold you back from your mission. And
boom.
And I see that in you. And I just think that's so fantastic, because you're clear on it. You are ready to articulate it. And for many people, when the going gets tough and you're sick of eating kale, it's like, okay, well, this is why I'm doing it. Let's go back to that. Yeah. So that's super key.
Yeah. And again, everybody's like, I have a lot of energy naturally. I mean, there's not a lot of things that suck my energy. I mean, probably drinking too much, but I don't ever do that. So I don't even know if that does it. There's not a lot of things, I guess, that would suck my energy. And again, I eat pretty well anyway. But yeah, the even taking an ounce of energy away from what I got to do because I'm worried about any part of my body not feeling like I can go conquer the world is ridiculous to me. So therefore, I just do my best. I just do my best. So anyway, this is great.
Okay. Great. Number 3 is this. Can I tell another just short story?
Of
Jess?
Course.
Okay.
I'm in love with this whole conversation. You basically could do anything right now, and I would be like, yes, just fart, do whatever you want to do. I'm obsessed.
Okay. So I had a patient named Linda. She came in the office. I've been seeing her for some time. She was C-suite Expedia, and she came in sad. I said, what's going on? She said, Doc, I need you to help me with my lip. And I said, well, Linda, I am a chiropractor. I'm not quite sure what you need me to do with your lip. But she said, no, my Linda improvement plan. And I said, ooh, that sounds intriguing. What's that about? And she said, look, and she got so serious. And I still get goosebumps telling this story. I've told it so many times. She said, I have spent the last 20 years raising a career and boys, and I've lost myself. I look in the mirror, I don't recognize who I am. I've lost my passion about things. I am not in any kind of shape that I want to be in. I don't have the energy that I want to do. And she said, I've been trying for 2 months to get it back on track and I can't. She said, I want you to be part of my team. I said, ooh, this sounds cool. What are you thinking? So together we established what we call the Linda Pit Crew. And so we put her wellness pit crew together, and it was me, and it was Reed, who I think Reed, a physical therapist who's local to us, Jess, and Derek, a trainer, and a key person at work. And why I say a key person at work is she didn't really even know this girl. She was a cube mate or adjoining to her. And all this girl had to do was reach up over the cubicle on Monday morning and look at her and say, Linda, did you hike on Saturday? And that was it. So we got this team together, and it was transformative. And so that was like 20 years ago. And from then I've been tweaking and fine-tuning the concept of a wellness pit crew and how essential it is, because we gather mentors around us for business. We get our coaches and all of that stuff. But how often do we go, okay, I am going to intentionally each quarter sit down and say, who needs to be on my wellness pit crew? And it might even be someone you don't know, like a mentor. Like right now for me, Christine Niff, who is an expert in self-compassion. She is on my pit crew right now. I'm studying with her and I don't know her, but she's part of my pit crew. Chiropractor, massage, a therapist, any of those kinds of things will be your wellness pit crew. And I want to just say one thing about that is you might be tempted to go, oh, my BFF is part of my pit crew. Absolutely not. Your BFF, your spouse, your partner, no. And here's why. They love you and they love you how you are right now. And they may be tied to that person and may not subconsciously want you to change. And they will not articulate it. They probably don't even know it, but they are not your best choice. So get outside that an inner circle, choose 3 to 5 people, establish a wellness pit crew that you can rely on and connect with, and they can hold you accountable and provide you resources, and move forward with that, your wellness why, understanding your energy leakage liabilities, and now you're ready to start.
Is this number 3 or is this a bonus?
That was number 3.
Oh, I'm obsessed with this idea. So I think of I get monthly facials and she just takes exquisite care of me. Like it's not about really not, I mean, she doesn't even do anything fancy. I just love going in there and she just takes exquisite care. And it's just like this thing. I get pedicures and she doesn't talk to me. And the whole process feels like a pit crew. And I will say too, I'm curious if you think about this. I sometimes think you got to pay for a pit crew.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But don't let that be a deterrent, because your neighbor, if they're a kind person, if you want to ask them to text you every Wednesday and say, "Did you go to Orange Theory last night?"
Yeah, great.
Then yes.
Yeah.
But just can I camp on that for a minute? I love your comment about facial, and I think that's super essential. And you're right. Some of those experiences go above a clean skin and,
totally
glowy. But I also want to say that self-care is a lot more about being able to save somebody from the waves instead of just looking strong on the beach, and understanding that food is fuel and not just friend, and kind of understanding that self-care runs much deeper and honoring yourself and the rest that your soul needs. And so the facials and the pedicures, I love that. It has to be part of it, but we have to also go deeper. And toxic relationships and saying no to things that don't serve you anymore. Those are things that I think are also essential as part of our self-care. So I think that's really good too.
Can we dive in deeper a little bit there? Because this is a big thing with women right now. I mean, this is up. We are trying to do all the things. Some of us are getting our ass kicked. People on social media I mean, it's disgusting. The Elizabeth Warren comments and the Hillary Clinton comments, the Lizzo comments, the Jennifer, whatever, her J-Lo. Like, we're overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Can you give us steps to even starting that? Because I think a lot of women have designed their life around, I got to be in the PTA. I got to be the best mom. Mm-hmm. I got to say yes to all the things. I have to go to all the games. I got to do this for my spouse. We make up a story. So are there tangible steps, itty bitty things, baby steps that people can do to even start this without basically being, telling everybody in their life to go jump in the lake? Like, screw you, I'm out of here. Like, we don't want that kind of a mess, or maybe we do. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think one of a doctor friend of mine, Laura Foster, who holds these great wellness retreats, I heard her speak once. And one of the places she started, she is a master of this, was when somebody asks something of you, instead of an immediate reflexive yes, just a pause. And don't think about, do I have time? Feel what your body is feeling. I call it the cat fur response. When you pet a cat the right way, it feels good on your hand. It feels nice. And then you pet a cat the wrong way, they get pissed. Your hand, it feels weird on your hand. It's like when somebody asks you that, which way is your cat fur going? Is it going the right way or is it going the wrong way? And just gently start to tune into your innate response. Your innate response is going to tell you whether this is a good thing or not a good thing for you. And it's not good or bad. There's lots of good things that you may have to say no to, but start. And then number 2, I'm going to say body scans. And this is a weird thing, but 2 or 3 times a day, start at your toes, work your way all the way up and say, how you doing toes? How you doing ankles? what are you feeling? Calves? What do your thighs feel like? What do your hips feel like? And slowly, and emotionally, what am I feeling emotionally right now? And start to tune into that so you can exercise that muscle. So more and more you can start to go, oh, this isn't feeling good inside me, even on a small amount. So this may be one thing I want to let. And then finally, practicing ways to very kindly say, I'm sorry that won't fit into my schedule right now. Yeah. I apologize, that just doesn't work for me right now. And getting comfortable with that. And knowing to the core of your being, you overextending yourself is valuable for nobody. It's not for you. It's not for your children, for your partner, for anybody, for your business. And again, protecting your greatest asset is essential.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we were just talking about. That's how I woke up this morning. I just was like, I have completely overextended myself. My reptilian brain is coming out, which mine is to retreat. Yours is to get probably bitchy and yell at people, and you get real prickly. And mine is, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. And that does not service anybody. You can't get on here and be prickly, and I can't get on here and not want to talk to you. Like, that is not, we can't do our jobs when we are like this. So I have started to implement this. And I think for my listeners, I want to be transparent. It is uncomfortable. It is awkward. It might make your tummy hurt. It might make you want to throw up a little bit. And you got to do it. I just did this week with somebody who just straight up needed me. And I didn't have any to give. I just said, I can't do that. They wanted to have a difficult conversation. And I was like, I can't. It like makes me want to cry thinking about it. Like, I can't. I can't right now because I have to give the only amount of energy that I have left to the things that I have to do. And I don't want you to feel dismissed. And again, I can't control how they're going to feel. Like, I care about you. I love you. And I cannot do this week. I cannot have this conversation you need to have. And I get that may be dismissive to you. You might feel bad, but I got to do what I got to do to maintain what I got to do right now. And that, again, it can be very uncomfortable. But what I'm finding is the more I do it, Sarah Dean talked about this on her podcast recently. By the way, you need to be on hers too, about exposure therapy. And that the more we expose ourselves to something uncomfortable, the easier it gets. Like, the first time I have to say to someone, I don't have the bandwidth to have that conversation with you, that feels like shit. And then the next time I do it, I go, okay, I survived. They didn't freak out. The world did not come to an end. In fact, you handled it beautifully and gracefully and held me and loved the fact that I set a boundary. And now the next time I do it, I can hope and pray that it continues to go that way. It's just exposing ourselves by leaning in. And I guess I say that because I want people to not ignore it. Like, don't do nothing. Don't not respond to that person. Don't suppress it. Like, lean in, be an adult, which is not always easy. We joke, adulting is hard. Sometimes we just got to lean into those kinds of conversations. But in the long run, one, I think, is treating yourself with respect. And I think this is an Oprah-ism, but we then teach people how to treat us. And I would hope that those people then also have respect for us by setting a boundary. When people set boundaries with me, I'm like, damn, good for you. Yeah. Literally. I'm always like, that is so amazing that you just set that boundary. Like, you're in Greece. Don't fucking Marco Polo me back. Like, good on you.
Hey, let me just say something. You touched on something so great there about having the conversation. Brene Brown talks about something. So she has a little fidget ring that she uses because she hates confrontation. And she talks about confrontation over resentment. So have the short-term pain for the long-term gain, the short-term pain of confrontation to avoid the long-term resentment you hold for agreeing to that dumb volunteer project that you didn't want to do in the first place. And so, and like you say, I think the more you practice those, the more able you are to deliver them kindly and with love. And she also says clarity is kind. So the clearer you are in your no, the better it is.
That is so powerful. And if anybody have not watched that special on Netflix, go watch it. In fact, I should probably make that like a quarterly thing that I watch. I mean, I love her and I watched it the day it came out. And then I told my partner about it. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm interested. So I literally watched it twice in one day. And I was like, I can't get enough of this. So
I know,
that
she's
was brilliant.
amazing.
You're amazing. Like,
Oh,
I
wow,
am so
thanks.
delighted that we did this. So I'm guessing people are like, I want more of you. How do we get more of you? Tell everyone how we can find you and follow you and play with you and learn more
Yay.
about energy leakage and deeply moving wellness, wine, our pit cruise, and lots of other
That's awesome.
things. Yeah.
Well, a couple things. I don't know if you have show notes, Jess, but if Jessica,
I do.
but if you do, I would love to give away a free Discover Your Wellness Why workbook so they can work through their own wellness why for your audience specifically. Great. So we'll put that in the show notes. But I am on Instagram a lot. Please message me your questions. I love to meet new people. I love to talk to people. So I'm WELLFITandFED, all spelled out, WELLFITandFED on Instagram. I'm WELLFITandFED across all platforms. So Facebook, the Junk You Should Know show lives on YouTube. So that's WELLFITandFED there and everywhere, wellfitandfed.com. So that's how you reach me.
Brilliant. I don't know. In closing, can you top what you've already done with us? But tell us what in closing, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think I always dread this question because I always think,
too,
especially when it comes and I'm not expecting it, which is right now.
I should probably do a different one because I hate when people do this to me too. I'm like, damn it, I just gave you everything.
Yeah, because then it's like, no, I do.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Here's what I think. I think we have such a tendency to be unkind to ourselves. And I think one of the first wellness changes we should hone in on is listening to that voice, starting to turn it around by talking differently and more kindly to ourselves. When we fall off the wagon, self-compassion puts an arm around a shoulder and walks along with. Criticism looks behind and points at the mess you left. And so the more you can work on little steps toward loving yourself and being kind to yourself and forgiving to yourself, the easier all of these other shifts and changes are going to be.
So good. So good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.